Welcome back to the Takeout. I am joined now by California's Attorney General Rob Bonta. He's here to discuss this afternoon the filing of a lawsuit against President Trump over his deployment of the National Guard against the wishes of Governor Gavin Newsom. Mr. Attorney General, thank you for your time. What's the basis of this lawsuit? Question one. And question two, what do you say to either Californians or those around the rest of the country who think this suit is trying to stop the president from protecting public safety by putting the National Guard to quell a riot or insurrection, as he describes it, on the streets of Los Angeles?
Well, thank you for having me. Honored to be with you again. And the state of California and the governor of California brought a lawsuit today in federal court here in California challenging the unlawful deployment by the President of the United States of the National Guard. The authority that the president cites to only allows for the deployment of the National Guard by the president when there's an invasion by a foreign nation, which there's not, when there's a rebellion to overturn the leadership of the United States of America, which there is not, or when the regular forces of the federal government cannot execute the laws, which is also not present. The law also requires that the order to the National Guard be issued through the governor, meaning the governor needs to consent to calling in the National Guard, which he has not only not done, but he has strenuously objected to them being National Guard being called in. So that's the basis of our lawsuit. It's essentially that the president doesn't have the authority to call in the National Guard. The statute he relies on, the elements of it are not met. What do I say to people who are talking about public safety issues? One, I say this: the most of the activity, the protesting that you see in the city and county of Los Angeles has been peaceful. Of course, there are some exceptions to that where there's been violence. We've seen that. It's well documented. And the very large and well-resourced law enforcement agencies and departments in LA, the sheriff's department is the largest in the nation. The LA Police Department is the third largest in the nation. They are well-resourced, highly trained. They have the resources to handle the issues. Before the National Guard arrived, all issues were handled internally by the LAPD and by the Sheriff's Department. There's, of course, a protocol of calling for mutual aid if and when additional resources are needed. That has been relied on to some extent since the National Guard arrived, and there was an inflammation of issues and a provocation and an increasing in tensions. But still, the mutual aid resources have not yet been depleted, and perhaps they never will. And if they are, the governor of California, not the president, is well located to call the National Guard in if and when that's necessary. It's not necessary at this point.
Mr.
But
Attorney
public safety
General,
is a top priority.
Mr. Attorney General, what about word that we got late this afternoon that there is a ready-to-deploy order for some 700 Marines to come to Los Angeles?
We're aware of that, and unfortunate and unnecessary as well. The National Guard is not necessary, nor are the Marines necessary to be deployed. Again, local law enforcement, the Sheriff's Department, the LAPD, the mutual aid jurisdictions in and around the county and outside the county in Southern California are all well-resourced and able to handle the issues. If the National Guard is ever needed, the governor can call them in. But the president calling in the Marines, the president calling in the National Guard, it only stokes the flames, increases tensions, creates unneeded provocation. We want calm. We want peace. The president's actions have caused provocation and increase in tensions.
How do you regard the tactics so far deployed by Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement in Los Angeles?
I don't know all the details, but I will say there's an obvious right for federal immigration enforcement authorities to lawfully enforce immigration law. They can, if that's what they wish to do and focus on. Of course, if they do, then folks can't interfere or obstruct with their lawful execution of their duties. My hope is that they will always act lawfully and not violate anyone's rights, not racially profile, not unlawfully detain or arrest or use excessive force. And we hope that if they're going to exercise their authority, that it's always done lawfully.
Do you have a judgment as to whether or not that's occurred so far, Mr. Attorney General, very quickly?
We have reports that it has not occurred, which is very disturbing. That there has been unlawful use of force, that there has been racial profiling, that there has been unlawful detention and arrest. And so that's one side of the story from members of the public, Californians who've reached out to me. It's concerning, it's disturbing. If it's true, it's a problem. Government agents and immigration enforcement officers should be only exercising their authority lawfully.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta on this very busy news day. Thank you very much for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Honored to be with you again. Thank you.